Fantastic. Well, good luck tonight to you and Joel. And if all that was a little bit too energetic for you, it is now time to chill, because you may not believe me, but if you were to take an egg timer, some wax and a light bulb, you could invent something that would potentially make you millions of pounds. Actually, you could have, but someone beat you to it a long time ago. In a quiet village pub on the outskirts of Hampshire, an inventor had an idea for a product which is now considered to be a 20th century design classic.
Every time I see one, I think, he was sat in my pub inventing that. It's a strange invention in the first place, because so many people I know have got them.
Hidden away on the south coast of England is the factory that's been producing this icon of the 60s for nearly 40 years. The lamp first hit the streets in 1963. Invented by Edward Craven Walker, a glass bottle filled with a secret mixture of wax and water stands over a light bulb. Wax and water have similar densities but don't mix. As the bulb heats the wax, it becomes less dense and so rises through the water solution, creating unique patterns before cooling and falling back to the bottom. Groovy.
I'd actually started out as an egg timer. Although it's a simple idea, it's a very, very complex system within the bottle. The inventor, Mr. Craven Walker, spent about 7 or 8 years perfecting the formula, trying to improve, trying to come up with new looks, different colors. You have to be very careful with the chemicals obviously used. They all have to be environmentally friendly and non-toxic. Yes, it's a challenge every day.
Walker was a former RAF squadron leader who also had a passion for naturism, caught in this BBC documentary dating from 1979.
We're very open. In fact, all our employees at the factory which we run, they all know that we're naturists. But I'm sure a lot of them think that we do have this peculiar sort of life which the newspapers and the publicity generally seems to portray.
By the 70s, he was selling 7 million lamps a year, but in the 80s, sales crashed and Walker sold the factory. But he lived long enough to see the lamps soar back into fashion in the 90s, before dying just 2 years ago. His friend and business partner, Cressida Granger, now owns the company.
He wasn't a hippie, he wasn't very conservative, he wasn't anything, he was a bit of everything. I sort of remember coming into the factory one day and he'd come in and say he'd just bought a fire engine. You know, he'd bought a fire engine yesterday because he wanted one. In the 60s, the water used to come right up to the factory here in Poole, and he used to come to work by speedboat. He had a helicopter as well, and he always used to say, come and fly my helicopter, and it was always, oh no, Mr. Walker's asked me to fly in his helicopter. Well, I think it's the just reward for the lava lamp to become a design icon, really, after 38 years or however long it's been. Because it's a pop design classic. You know, it's identified with the 1960s. That's part of its appeal. I suppose many of the best inventions are simple inventions, aren't they?
I love those things. Well, it wasn't just the lava lamp that was thought up in a pub. Lots of ideas are dreamt up with a drink in hand. But as the evening goes on, they do tend to get a little bit more ludicrous. Our next contender, Mark, found his inspiration over an early evening pint.
I used to work as a part-time barman in a local bar in Carnarvon. During that time, I realised that working as a barman wasn't as easy as people believe or think.
Mark found that pouring a decent pint and keeping all the punters satisfied was tougher than it looked.
I was lazy, to be honest. I just thought there's an area here for development.
When he wasn't pulling pints, Mark was a design student at the University of Wales in Bangor.
Mark was unbearable sometimes because he'd be at work till about 2 o'clock in the morning working in the bar, and then he'd come home and he'd say, I've had this brilliant idea about this automatic pint puller, I've got to write it down. I'd be up till 5:30 in the morning.
After many sleepless nights working on the design, Mark took the idea to his tutor, who was less than enthusiastic.
I was not optimistic, I can assure you. I thought he was picking something that was rather larger than he could chew.
Eventually, he talked his tutor into letting him have a go at the project as part of his degree course.
Once he takes a challenge on board, he never ever gives in. And in fact, I can remember him here one evening with us till about 11 o'clock at night, which is quite incredible, because student life has its other demands, as you know.
In many ways, Mark's very stubborn, which is good in one way, because without being stubborn, he wouldn't have gone as far as he has.
His hard work and stubbornness paid off when Mark came up with his prototype. But being a poor student, he did all the testing with water instead of beer. Yeah, Mark, we believe you.
The way I can describe the way I feel about this particular project, every time I see it work, I certainly get a certain sense of satisfaction.
I think he's done really well, and he's gone against all the odds, and I'm really proud of him.
So far, Mark has only tested the system in the workshop and the student bar, but he hopes to see it taking the heat off hassled bartenders very soon.
I'm hoping now I've got the opportunity to show and demonstrate the system to the nation. I'm having someone out there who's interested in mass producing the actual system and applying it behind the bar.
Welcome to the show. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, I actually want you to convince me that I can do it. So would you pass the glass over and show me how it's done? Now, let me do it. Right? Okay. Now.
So you just push the cradle.
Push the cradle out. Place that there. Yep.
And release the cradle.
Yep.
And it should work by pressing that button.
So I just push that button once. Yeah. Now let's see what happens.
And then we're using the mass of the alcohol to persuade the glass.
Oh, the weight actually closes the machine down, doesn't it? So it reaches the bottom. We shouldn't have any. Oh, look at that. Well, hey!
And then you just release the cradle then and just give the pint to the customer.
Yeah, now, supposing you use dark ales, you know, the frothy ones.
Yes.
What would happen there?
Because the system is electronically and mechanically devised and operated, we can easily modify and develop the microchip, which is based
modern
in
technology.
So
there's a microchip in there. It's not. We're not just talking about a series of valves or something that's quite
just a
simple
microchip which can be reprogrammed over 500 times.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you what. I would say to you, try and get your name on this. You know, in those early days when I first created that radio of mine, I wish it'd been called the Bayliss radio. Wouldn't that look nice?
Fantastic, wouldn't it?
Become generic, you know what I mean? But you should try it. It's not too late. If you try and work your name somehow into the machine, as it were, then, you know, when you make your million, you'll be known for the name of your machine.
That's great, because I've never thought of that before. Maybe it's the best thing for me to
Yeah, well, I wish you well.
Anyway, thank you very much.
My great pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Well, not surprisingly, Mark, the audience are very keen to help out on the testing of this one, but I keep telling them they're going to have to wait till after the show. In here is the key to you reaching a much bigger audience. Tell us about it, Alan.
Yeah, make mine a pint of old and filthy, would you? Katy, if Mark wins, we're going to introduce him to a very special drinking partner.
Well, that certainly put a smile on his face. We've got some people here who are all kind of keen to put it on the spot and put it to the test here. Are you into your beer?
Yeah.
Was a nice way of putting it.
I was just wondering if it's quicker than the person behind the bar.
Well, as you just see now, it is quicker, but it's much more efficient as well, and you get the perfect pint, the right amount of head as well, and also you save the company, which is running the actual staff, money as well.
And you're not trying to put bar staff out of business, are you?
Well, who would want to get rid of beautiful barmaids?
Exactly.
But like I said before, it's much more efficient.
See, by my reckoning, if you've got loads of those lined up and all the pints on the go, it gives you more time for socialising with the person behind the bar, which is a good thing. And Peter here actually used to work in a bar, so careful what you say.
I did, like Mark, I used to work part-time in a bar, and I was wondering if he thought that an invention like this might one day replace the experienced barman.
Yes, but...
Yes and no.
Well, I consider myself an experienced barman, but there's nothing worse than working behind a bar and having customers complaining to serve them in time. And I thought this is a perfect solution to solve that problem.
Fantastic. All you've got to do now is combat the trend for drinking your beer out of bottles.
Yeah,
All right, we'll be hearing more from you later on. Well, 2 down, 1 to go. But before any decisions are made, let's check out our final invention. Here's Jimmy and his Night Bright tyres.
I had the idea when I was driving along in my car, and suddenly a cyclist stopped in front of me. To be honest with you, I didn't see him. I had to hit the brakes. When I was looking at the tyre, I realised, why not put lights in a tyre?
Jimmy went out and bought a tyre. He punched some holes in it which were just big enough to fit tiny LED lights.
Started to put them in the tyre, fed wire around the tyre, and it's gone from there. It can be quite expensive to paint something, and I've currently started doing that with the help of my sister Linda.
He phoned me up with Linda. He said, I've got this great idea. And I thought, oh God, Jimmy, not again. He's always coming up with these ideas. He was so excited, he didn't really know what he was doing. He was telling me about how it worked, lights in a tyre, and at first, like everybody thought, lights in a tyre. But it did work, and I ended up funding Jimmy. And up to now it's cost between £6,000 and £7,000, which it's not a problem at the moment, as it will be if it goes up any higher. But then again, we can always sell the house, can't we? Yes, I believe in my brother, and I'm sure he will do it. We'll get there, I know we will. It might take time, and I just hope somebody will come along and say, yes, it's a great idea. Let's go for it.
Jimmy's invention is powered by a battery inside the tyre, and there's a switch on the outside to turn the lights on and off.
I decided to use 4 LEDs here because this was just right for the voltage I was using, the 9-volt battery. Any more than that, and the lights went very dim. When you see my lighting system, it's a lot more than a normal, just one light that's stationary. Although conventional lights are good, mine is really good when you see it.
Jimmy needs to make sure the bulbs form a continuous stream of light to meet safety regulations. So he's taken his tyre to an electronics engineer who's helping him develop a new way of powering the lights without the use of a battery.
We've taken basically a dynamo and we've incorporated the windings into the wheel itself. We've then taken the magnet part of the dynamo and we've incorporated that onto the bike itself. As the wheel passes the magnet, and of course it's creating exactly what a dynamo would do. Because we can generate the power in the wheel as it's rotating, then it doesn't matter if the LED is illuminating day or night.
Before the patent was filed, Jimmy had to keep quiet about his invention.
It's just so hard, you know, not being excited of your own idea, but not being able to tell any of your friends or your family. And there was only one member of my family knew, and that was Linda.
He swore me to secrecy, please don't say nothing. And I knew then that, you know, this was something that he believed in himself. I believe in him so much that I know it's going to go somewhere, and hopefully it will go somewhere.
It's great to show people now, after all the hard work I've put into it and the long hours. I think my dream would be to basically be sitting in a coffee bar one day and a young child goes past on his bike and there'd be lights flashing on the tyres.
Well done, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
I think it's a fantastic invention. You've done a super job. Red lights in the rear, white in the front. Now tell me, these little lights that are travelling around on the wheel here, how hard is it to damage them?
It's very, very hard. I've hit them with a hammer very hard and they actually don't shatter. Also sanded them down with sandpaper, as in to give the effect where I've done hundreds of miles on the actual bike itself.
That is
and they can wear down with the tyre as well and still bright.
Oh, I think that's astonishing.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Now, do you actually see any other use for this type of wheel?
I do actually, Trevor. Basically, push chairs. When the parents take the prams out, you're going to come to like a T-junction, a main busy road, and the baby's going to sort of be safe in the pram because the baby's going to be seen with these flashing lights on the side tyres. Yeah. Also, wheelchair users, they're going to love it in the tyres.
How much interest has been shown in what we've done so far?
Well, at the moment, not much. I've not got much feedback. I thought the hard part was making the prototype, but now I'm finding that it's actually we're getting someone interested in the actual lights in the tyre.
Well, look, I've got to wish you well, mate.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
And I know the gang here would like to support you.
Well, of course, what Jimmy wants to know is what is in this envelope. Your prize is in here, Jimmy. Tell him about it, Alan.
Well, Katie, if Jimmy is lucky tonight, we could all soon be lighting up our lives with his bright idea.
Fantastic. Well, I've got some keen cyclists with me here. In fact, this one on the end here is so keen he actually cycles to work, which puts everyone else to shame.
That's right.
What do you think of that idea?
I think it's excellent, but I was wondering, my bike's got inner tubes, so would does that work with bikes with inner tubes?
Absolutely, yeah. It also works with, I've actually tested it on tubeless tyres as well, so it's fine. It does work, yeah, fine.
It's such a good idea, isn't it? Because it's the whole thing of being seen from the side.
Yeah, that's right. Visibility and side vision, it's great.
Absolutely, Graham, what do you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. I was just wondering, if you got somebody heavy riding it, does it break the bulbs at all?
No, as I said earlier, the bulbs are very hard wearing, and basically the tyre acts as a suspension. So the bulb actually is just below the tread, so it's quite, you know, it's quite safe.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because it's slightly modified, how much the set of the tyres would actually cost?
Tyres at the moment, for a set of tyres, I'm looking at about between £15 and £30. That's relatively cheap, you know.
Would you part with that kind of money?
I reckon I've stretched about that much for total. I mean, they're worth it, so it makes a lot of sense, really.
Yeah. What about, something I was wondering is if they get muddy?
Yeah, basically, you're not going to be riding in mud all the time, so you go through a bit of water to clean again. It's the waterproof.
Okay, well, good luck to you here tonight,
Thank you
Jimmy,
very much,
and of course your sister Linda. 3 top inventions there. I'm glad it's not me that's got to decide. And to help our audience, here's our Alan with a quick reminder.
So who'll be going down to the woods today to have some fun with a freestyle all-terrain board?
The best thing about it is the speed and the adrenaline and the jumps.
Or will there be a large round for the perfect pint power to end those queues at the bar? Or perhaps city lights will be burning brighter with the Night Bright bicycle tyre.
The competitor is brilliant.
Now, before our studio audience decide on their favourite idea on tonight's show, there's just time for Trevor to pick out a few of the many inventions that came into the office this week.
We've had some fantastic inventions on this show, and now I wish to show you 1 or 2 that I particularly like, right? The first one I came across was this item here. It is, in fact, a hands-free microphone holder, created by a magician. The magician wanted to be hands-free, and so therefore he came up with this device to hold his microphone while he was chatting up the crowd. Do you understand me? Now, this item here is called a waist watcher. Now, let me just hold it up to camera so you can see it. It, in fact, has a little button on the side and a little clip on the back. Now, when I push the button, this device vibrates. Now, I'm carrying a few pounds, you understand? Now, if I was to put this on my belt, I think this thing would be vibrating all day long. Do you understand? Isn't that a lovely little device? Right, that's the second one. Now, the third one we're coming up to is this thing here, which is called a dust bubble. It's a little polythene bag, and it sticks onto the wall. And now, when I come to do my drilling, instead of all the dirt and the muck going down onto the deck, here we are. I'll put that into that hole there, like this. You'll see all the rubbish is in fact ending up, there you go. It's actually ending up in that little bag. And what's so nice, of course, is it now cuts out that extra task of having to clean the carpet or clean the room. Very nice product. So there you go. These are my 3 inventions for this evening.
Time is up, so audience, grab your handsets and vote for what you think is the best invention now.
So who's going to be lucky tonight? Would it be Tim and his freestyle all-terrain board? Or Mark and his perfect pint? Or Jimmy and his Night Bright tyre? Buttons are being pushed. Members of our audience are casting their votes. The result, ladies and gentlemen, is imminent. The bars are starting to appear, and look, it's the Night Bright tyres!
Come on.
Come forward, come forward.
Come on.
Oh, congratulations.
Come on,
Linda,
come on, you go.
That is so fantastic. Okay, Jimmy, come join me here. Now, I do have to say that with family like this behind you, I didn't know how you could possibly go wrong. In here, I have your prize. Now, the British Bike Manufacturers Rally, you know all about those, Rally UK, they think your idea is a winner, and they've invited you to their headquarters in Nottingham to meet all of their top buyers and try and get the Night Bright tyre fitted to their bike. So we will probably be seeing your invention on the road. Give us so many congratulations. How are you feeling right now?
Very, very excited. I'd like to thank the audience, and also just to say it's made me very happy, and it's going to make a lot of other people happy now, so and safety as well. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, well done tonight. Commiserations to our 2 runners-up, and I'm sure you'll have huge success. And sadly, that is just about it for tonight. If you'd like to find out more about the show or to be on the programme as an inventor or in the audience, check out our website at www.bbc.co.uk/science. We'll be back next week, but for now, from all of us here, good night.
Quickfire questions and razor-sharp wit. Weakest Link next on BBC One. And on BBC Two, out with the 70s style and in with the modern art. Home front in the garden.